All right, welcome and good evening to everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight for our Uplift Mighty family session titled Life After Uplift.
Muy buenas tardes, muchas gracias por estar aquí en nuestra junta de Uplift Mighty, en la vida después de los estudiantes después de preparatoria.
My name is Robert Ortiz, and I'm the Director of Family Engagement for College and Career. And I'm excited to welcome our campus leader on the call tonight, Miss Anna Andrews, who is our Dean of College Prep, just to give a quick welcome and to get us started for this evening.
Él es el señor Ortiz, él está encargado del compromisos de familias y va a introducir a la señora Andrews, que es la encargada de la preparatoria.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here tonight. Once again, my name is Anna Andrews, and I'm the Dean of College Prep for Mighty High School. With me tonight is Miss Edwards, our college counselor, and Yesenia Hackett, our academic counselor. I am so excited to have some of our alumni with us tonight also, who will be sharing their stories with you. Thank you all so much for being here.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Ella es la señora Andrews y con ella también están la señora Coach y Hackett, que son consejeras académicas para los estudiantes, y muchas gracias a los graduados de Uplift Mighty que están aquí para compartir sus historias.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. And so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to break into different sessions. So you noticed on your RSVP that we'll be having this panel in English and in Spanish. And while we're in there, we're going to be hearing from our Uplift Mighty graduates on how life is after Uplift, and as they share their college experience so far and how they're navigating that transition.
Como vieron en el boletín, esta junta se ofrecerá en una sección en inglés y en otra en español, y vamos a tener preguntas y pláticas con los graduados de Uplift, cómo es su vida en la universidad o en cualquier carrera que estén en este momento.
And so no matter where you are, if you're in a middle school or a high school parent, we know that tonight is going to be really valuable to be a part of, to hear about how an Uplift education has showed up in the college process, and also just to give you some insight on what post-Uplift life is like.
Sabemos que algunos padres son de preparatoria o son de secundaria, entonces sabemos que esta noche es muy importante para saber cómo es la vida después de la preparatoria de los estudiantes.
All right, so as mentioned, we've introduced ourselves as staff, and so now we're going to give our wonderful alums an opportunity to introduce themselves. And
I actually had gotten accepted to a school of choice program at William James, which is like right down the street from Mighty. But when my mom heard about Uplift, my parents were like, no, you're going there. Like, they didn't give me an option. And honestly, I kind of wanted to go there anyway because I needed to separate myself from the same people who I went to elementary school with. And honestly, I also agree it's one of the best choices I've made. I've made amazing friends. I had an amazing support system, and I can truly say like every single teacher had a part in my process. I think there was a couple of teachers who mainly helped me, like Coach Edwards. She was kind of like a mom to our class. She told us that we were going to school. We're like, okay. Whether if it was like community college or, a big or small university, like she told us that we were going to go. And I appreciate that. Another person, I don't think he teaches for Uplift anymore. It's Mr. Carradine. He's actually kind of the reason why I'm in political science. He had introduced me into the government system, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's so cool. And a lot of people are like, ew, gross, government. And I'm just like, no, like it's cool. And so, yeah, I think it was quite the experience. And I know Uplift isn't for everyone, but if your child is like, they're going to go to school, I honestly think that Uplift is the right route for them.
All right, thank you guys. So I guess we'll start with Paula this time. And our question is, as you think about your first year of college, what was most challenging about the transition, and how did you overcome them? Part 2 of the question: what did you learn during your time at Uplift that helped you move forward?
Um, I think that the biggest challenge I had was moving, like actually being outside of an area that I've known literally my entire life. I actually live here in Denton. I'm not used to, well, obviously at the time I wasn't used to being without my parents. I wasn't used to someone saying like, hey, like you need to do this and this and this. Like I actually had to do everything on my own. And that's, that's pretty standard. Like that was expected to happen. As for college, they always say in Uplift that, the professors are not going to be there to tell you like you have homework due, that you have homework due. And honestly, they're right. I think it was until this semester when my professor would send us emails like, hey, like don't forget, like you have this. And honestly, I appreciate her so much because I would not have remembered. And that happens sometimes. It happens because college life is so busy. You want to do everything at one time. I'm starting to think that the day needs more hours, but unfortunately that can't happen. But you live and learn. I've learned how to, manage my time. I keep a planner with me. Uplift also taught us that too. They gave us
This came after 12 p.m. And that was great for me because like it gave me time during the day to get homework done, to knock it out. Then I was able to go to class, come back home, do some homework, and then I can sleep the rest of the night away up until next morning. So time management was definitely one of my biggest struggles, but it's easy to overcome. Once you get that planner, is where it was very easy.
All right. Well, thank you both for those answers. And Caleb, I will tell you, as an adult at 29 years old, I still use a calendar. So you'll use a calendar from here on out. So Caleb, you can kick us off with this question. And I want you to think about this as if you were speaking to a high school scholar, but at the same time, I want you to speak to the parents on how they can support their scholars. So the question basically is for scholars or for, let's say, students who are living through a COVID college experience, what would you say to a student who are feeling discouraged or unmotivated about being a college student, especially those who may think a college education has lost its value?
Okay, just so I can make sure I heard you correct. I'm talking about how a student is like dealing with the COVID, like during COVID education, like how they are mentally feeling about themselves.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't, in this situation, I can't use myself as an example because for me, when I was dealing with, well, I ain't have COVID, but like going to school during COVID was kind of easy because it gave me enough free time to get more homework done, and we give it enough time that everything will always work out for the better for everyone. Even if you don't feel like this is the best option for you, like later down the road, you're gonna be thanking yourself that you took that step, that you took that option, that you waited for your opportunity to happen.
Sorry, I was thinking for a minute. Let me think. I personally did struggle a little bit throughout this pandemic, especially when it first started happening. Because I am a social person, and I think Coach can speak for that. Like I love talking. I love talking. I love making friends and being socially distant from everyone who I started my year with. It was really hard. And I started to fail my classes, and that's unlike me. I was a person who was always determined and made sure, like, oh no, like I had to get at least a B. I mean, an A sounds better, but like I had to get an A or B. And so with this whole pandemic, this was my first time actually getting a C in a class, and it made me sad. So during this time, I had to reflect and really think, like, what can I do to make myself better? Because we're going to be in this pandemic for a good minute. And if I keep going the way that I'm going, I'm not going to, make it through. So a big question that actually came across my mind was that where along the way did I stop believing in myself? And that question, it's a good question that makes you think. And I'm just like, oh shoot, like where did I stop believing in myself? And honestly, it kind of motivates me more. Right now, I'm only taking 2 in-person classes, which it's like, for me, it's beneficial. Online classes, I'm sorry for all the noise. Online classes, for so long, I can only sit and stare. Like, sometimes I just stare at myself in the camera thing because I just can't do it no more. But if you're a student, if you notice that they're starting to fail a little bit, or if you notice that, with the whole video call thing, maybe give them a little bit of a break, because it's hard. It really is. I had to tell my mom that as well. It's hard. I could only understand what they're going through as well mentally, and maybe letting them take a mental day break, because that also helps as well. Just allowing them to catch a breath, because it's really difficult right now, and I have all my sympathy for them.
All right, last question. Here we go. So, Paula, it's going to be back to you. So, here's our question. It says, if you had the opportunity to talk to parents who may also be second guessing college plans for their scholar, what advice and how would you navigate those conversations with their scholar? And is there something that you would like them to understand?
So this is actually pretty relevant to myself as well with my brother, because I know it kind of seems like why should I send them to college right now? Like, they're just gonna be doing online school. Like, why should I do that? That's gonna be a waste of money. Well, number one, going to university has helped me mature a lot, has helped me learn how to grow as into becoming an adult. But if you honestly feel like your child, and if your child, make sure you ask them as well, because this is their college experience, and then this is their decisions. This is them, going to school. Maybe ask them, like, okay, so what do you want to do? I know we view community college as something that it should be like last resort. But if you don't want to spend like $4,000 on university, and then having all the loans because you can't afford it, maybe consider doing community college, and then from there transferring, so that if they're at home, it's cheaper, and it's kind of convenient as well. But if you feel like they're ready to be sent off to university, by all means, I'd say do it. Giving them that opportunity to live in the dorms, to have that college experience, to learn how to be in a college classroom, it's great. And I know that being socially distant it kind of sucks in the class, but I can say, well, at least here at UNC, we haven't had any COVID cases traced from the classrooms. Of course, everyone's going to do what they want. But it turns out that, UNC has been pretty safe with their COVID tracing in the classroom. So I recommend it. I haven't felt like my college experience has been taken away from me, but everyone sees it differently. So yeah.
So, parents, I think the best advice I can give for this one is to sit down and have a legit heart-to-heart meeting with your child, because I can attest and say I done seen so many of my friends that I have now that I met freshman year of college drop out because they feel like college wasn't for them. And I agree, college isn't for everyone. You gotta have the right mindset. You gotta be there mentally, feel like you want to do something different. And that's my advice. Sit down and actually reflect. Ask your child, what do they like to do? Do they wanna study and be great at it? Or do they want to just jump straight into it? Do they want to learn about it for a little bit? Because it all comes down to how your child feels. Because me, I had the mindset straight out of high school. I wanna open up my own business. I wanna go to college to be a business major, to do marketing, double with management, and that's what I did. I double majored with marketing and management. It was a good choice. It was great. The teachers was great. The people I met in class, they were great. Very helpful. Very one of the most helpful people I've ever met. But then when COVID happened and I sat down with myself, I was like, is this really what I want to do? I changed my mind, just like any other person, any other living person. Like, your mind can change in a snap. And I said education. And to become a teacher, I want to teach high school math, and you definitely have to have your degree. So me, with my mindset, I'm 100% committed. I want to do this. So it all depends on your child's mindset. having talks weekly. Like to this day, my mom still talks to me once a week. How's classes going? Is this really what you want to do? They give it your all. It's all or nothing. So yeah, having a heart to heart meeting with your child, I say at least once a week, because then your child gonna feel like you're getting on their nerves. But if you have it once a week, it'll be perfect because it gives your child an update every week on, yeah, I want to do this. And each week they keep saying, yeah, they're gonna be more and more committed, just like I was.
All right. Well, I think you two have just given us pure honesty, and I really hope that the parents were able to take away, your truth, and maybe possibly they're seeing some things in their scholar, maybe seeing some identities that you guys have that their scholars may have. And so what we're going to do right now is, if Coach doesn't have anything, open it up for the parents to ask questions. Here's our Q&A session.
Absolutely. So you can either come off of your mute and ask a question, or if you prefer to put it in the chat, you can do that as well. No questions?
As parents are thinking of questions, appreciate you being here. I'm going to put something in the chat before you go. We always like to know, just to ask a couple of questions to see how tonight went. So as you're thinking of questions, feel free to navigate that survey and answer a few questions for us. But I have been going back and forth with the rooms, so I'll get us going with a question. Oh wait, there's actually coming a few up here. So I'll ask the one for Miss Arnold. So for our alums, do you feel like Uplift Mighty had prepared you academically for college? And so if you think about that question, maybe if you can think about maybe some of the classes or some of the support you received in preparation for that.
I'll go ahead and go first. I feel like Mighty has definitely prepared me for school. I can say that if my mom had sent me to public school, I probably wouldn't have gotten the same one college themselves to get help from their counselors. I honestly think both. I applied to school by myself, but I also got help from my counselors because I didn't want to mess up. As being first gen myself, I want to make sure I was doing everything right. I didn't want to screw up anything because then that would ruin my chances of getting in.
So I'm going to chime in, if you don't mind, on that second one right quick. Caleb, I'm going to beat you to it. So Ms. Davis' question, should scholars, apply for college themselves or get help from their counselors? The wonderful thing about Uplift, and the thing that I love about it, because my children graduated from a public school. So I had the opportunity to watch how a public school does it and then how Uplift does it. And the wonderful thing is they do have counselors at Uplift, at all the Uplift schools, that are literally going to take the data. They're going to look at where your child is, meaning their ACT scores, their GPA, and then they're going to use that data and they're going to find a school that meets your child needs. So it's not just, your child saying, I want to go to UT, or I want to go to UNT. And when the real factor is, they might not be that type of scholar for that school. They might need to go to Tyler Junior College, or they might need to go to Navarro. So that's the wonderful thing about having the Uplift counselors, because we take the time to take that data, take the input from that scholar, put it in our system, and then we get a whole list of wonderful schools, not only in Texas, but everywhere, that's a really good fit, not only academically, but socially, emotionally, financially, and then your scholars apply to those schools. Now, we also give your child an opportunity to create their college list. So they get to give us some input. So where do you really want to go? What's your dream school? What's your first choice? And they have an opportunity to add those schools even to their list. But when they do that with me, I make sure that we go back and we look at it with a really close eye. Do they have what you want to major in? Why are you applying to this school? Is this a really good fit for you? Have you looked at their GPA? What their tuition look like? What type of scholarships are they offering? Are there people that look like you that are going to be there? So I look at all of that when your child is applying. So they just not picking up a name out of a hat and filling out an application. I want it to be a perfect fit for them. So when we sit down to do those final meetings and we got all these wonderful award letters with all this money on here, they're making a sound decision because we're talking about the next 4 to 5 years of their life.
You know, listening to that, I completely forgot the first question. I wanna.
So
I
Caleb,
completely forgot.
yeah, the question is, how has Uplift Mighty prepared you for college academically?
Oh, that one. Yes, I was waiting on that the whole time. Mighty has prepared me academically for college for speaking up and going for it first. Because if it wasn't for Mighty, okay, I'm not gonna say it was Mighty, but if it wasn't for Coach Edwards, because Coach Edwards, like, if you need help, she's not gonna sit there and be like, oh, does anyone, she wants you to like acknowledge, to initiate that you need help. Because that's the same with professors. Professors not gonna always ask you every day after class, oh, do everybody get the notes? Do everybody understand what we're doing? Oh, who needs help? Oh, you can come by my office anytime. Professors, well, I can speak for the professors at my school. They do not do that at all. You have to initiate, you have to be the first to go to them, because professors, even if like you know you're struggling in class right now, if you take the initiative to go talk to the professor once a week, to go ask the professor for help, if they see you putting forth the effort that you want to pass, they're gonna help you. At my school, they are very helpful. If you put in the effort, if you initiate contact first, they're gonna be like, oh, he wants to pass. I can see the effort from him. I can see his determination. So let me help him. Let me give him an incentive. Because I've known so many people that never asked for help, that, oh, why you helped him out, but he was doing the same as me. The professor tells them the same thing every time. He came to me during office hours. Office hours are very crucial, and Uplift helped me with that all the time. Office hours after school, if you need help, this teacher is available from such and such time to this, and after that, it's over. That's the same as college. After that office hour time is done, that professor is going home. So yeah, Uplift has really helped me with that. And the question about, should scholars apply to college on their own? I can say that it's half and half, because the colleges I applied to were choices of mine that I thought I was mentally prepared for. But I also made some choices based on the help from Ms. Davis, based on the help from Coach Edwards, based on the help from my mom, both parents, my grandparents, everybody. So I feel like applying for college, it's not just a one-person thing. Yeah, your student is going to be going to that college by themselves, and they're going to be away from the parents and everybody else. But you got to also think, you're going to always call somebody to help you. Everybody needs somebody to lean on. And college is no different. Like, if it wasn't for Miss Davis, because Miss Davis helped me pick out the college that I'm at today. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be here right now.
Great responses. So next question is, can y'all speak to your experience with the ACT or SAT? So if you can share which tests you ended up taking and what was that preparation like for y'all?
I would love to go first. I would love to go first on this one, because I'm gonna go ahead and say this early before Paula says it. I forgot which one I took. I'm gonna be so honest. Because I think it was the ACT. I'm gonna be honest. And if it was the ACT, well, it don't matter which one it was. Uplift is always gonna help you prepare for everything in life. And they did. We sat down, we took practice ACTs, and whatever like area that we were low in, they made sure you got more help in that area than every other area. See, me, I was good at math and science. And so I always needed help with reading, literature, and writing. And so I sat down with all the reading teachers, Mr. Hips, and everybody, and they helped me with my literature and writing more than anything else. So Uplift will definitely prepare you for everything that you need, like that you're gonna need outside of Uplift.
Okay, so we did take the ACT. I think that was a test that Uplift provided us with. And I'm gonna be very honest. Mine was math. I hated math with a passion. I was always really good with reading and writing, but because I just was not very strong in math, Coach Edwards mainly, she would make us take like these ACT practices in her class if we didn't have anything to do. And honestly, I kind of hated it. I'm just like, why is she making me do this? I don't want to do it. But if you know that your student is going to take the ACT pretty soon, I highly recommend finding those ACT books. Or I mean, everything's online now. Find the practice online. Do what you have to do to make sure your student doesn't end up in like TSI classes when they first enter college, because that's where they're gonna end up in. They're gonna end up in TSI classes. I ended up having to take a math TSI because I failed my math by 7 points. And that was my fault. I should have retaken the math TSI portion. And it's not fun. I think for like ACT, it like puts you in college algebra. I'm not very sure. It also depends on the school and what they do with that score. But I highly recommend those practices. If you know that whoever is your student's teacher and they're saying, hey, like we have ACT practice due, or like, hey, make sure you're doing ACT practice, get onto them so that they do that practice. Because trust me, they're not gonna want to end up in those extra classes that is not needed because they could have prevented it.
Awesome. Yeah, and Miss Andrews had put a comment in the chat about just overall how Uplift Mighty is going to be supporting scholars, or how they do support scholars with the ACT. Uplift as a school has decided to focus on ACT for the time being for college entrance prep, just because with data, we have seen that our students typically score higher on the ACT than the SAT. And so that's our current strategy as a school network. And Ms. Andrews, not sure if you want to speak more to the ACT, but I feel like we talk about it all the time. But to the alums' point of view and their perspective, that preparation piece is definitely important, especially looking back on their experiences of, even there being room to have done a little bit more. So thank you for being vulnerable with that, Paula and Caleb. Any other questions from our parents? You may take yourself off mute or put it in the chat. As we may have another question come forward here soon, I do have a question I want to ask. So Paula, Caleb, if you could go back and talk to yourself on the first day of 9th grade, what would you tell your 9th grade self, particularly as it relates to how to prepare for college and what to look forward to?
To do my homework. I did not want to do my homework freshman year. I just assumed that I was going to pass because I was so smart. Like I was so smart that I did not want to do my homework. And honestly, it catches up with you in college because it becomes a habit. So, when I realized after freshman year, and I was like, oh man, like I could have done better than this. It really, carries out to college, where if you see a homework assignment due, do the homework assignment so that you're not waiting an hour before it's due. And, you know, sometimes I do that. I sit with my laptop in front of me and I know that I have a math assignment due at 11:59 p.m. and I wait till it's 11 o'clock to do it. And, you know, I just do your homework, Paula. Like, that's all you gotta do.
You know, I recently talked about this with one of my friends. We talked about if you can go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself? And I recently, you know, I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about it a lot, but there was never a clear answer to me until today. I think the advice I would give ninth grade me was to apply yourself, because that's what Coach Edwards and them tell me all the time. And I feel like that's what friends tell me right now. Like, just do it. Like, you're capable of doing anything you put your mind to. And I feel like anybody can do any job as long as they put their mind into it, as long as they give 100% effort. Anybody can do anything in this world. Nothing is too hard or too easy for anybody. So I feel like if I told ninth grade Caleb to apply himself, I think I would have been in a better position right now than I would be in right now. I enjoy where I'm at right now because I go to Midwestern States in Wichita Falls, Texas. It is a small city, very small, very quiet, very peaceful, and I enjoy it. But if I would have just applied myself a little bit more, I probably would have went to my dream school, which is way stricter than where I am now. But I probably would have went to my dream school. So yeah, applying yourself is definitely the advice I would give ninth grade me.
I want to add something real quick. Also, your freshman year is the most important year of high school because that's where you start your GPA. And I did not realize that until sophomore year, hence why I did not do my homework and I realized that my GPA was so low. I realized that I left Uplift with a 3.2 GPA, but it could have been so much higher if I had done my homework freshman year. So I just wanted to add that.
I would definitely like to agree with that because we weren't told about GPA till sophomore year. I don't want to point fingers. I don't want to blame nobody. Uplift, but you know, but you know, yeah, I didn't know nothing about GPA until sophomore year, and once we found out, that's when everybody. Because I graduated in 2018, our class was the first class, and we were also the smallest class. But in 2018, but sophomore year for us, when we found out, that's when everybody pulled up their pants and got busy because that's when we actually got focused in school because we knew starting there, since we now know GPA matters and GPA is a big factor for what college we want to go to. That's when we got busy and got to work and gave it our all.
Absolutely. Yeah, great responses. And I think that's really helpful for families on the call who do have children especially in the 8th grade or 9th grade, because that GPA does start with your college courses. And so for some students, it does start even in the 8th grade if they're taking Algebra 1 or English 1, which are high school courses. And so that's really, really great advice. And so yeah, though that GPA matters when it comes to being competitive in the college application process. That's one of the strongest indicators with being accepted into college. And so great advice. And yeah, and I was going to mention that, but Ms. Andrews, you went ahead and did it. And so I'll go ahead and elaborate. I was like, you probably did hear about GPA, but probably as a freshman, you're or 8th grader, you're tuned out. And so that may have well happened where you were in that conversation, you just didn't know you were in that conversation. But you know it now because even in college, it remains true that GPA matters. And so that's good stuff. So we're still in Q&A. If you have a question you would like to ask, please unmute yourself or put your question in the chat and we'll get to it. And again, our alums that are with us this evening are Paula and Caleb. talking about their college experience.
Yes, I have a question. As far as, I don't know if it starts senior year or junior year, but do you guys take children on college tours to explore different colleges?
So I know my 8th grade year, like they've been doing it since I was in middle school, and I started out in Uplift in the 6th grade. They have been taking us tours since I was in the 6th grade, but I remember specifically the 8th grade one because that was when I realized I knew I was gonna go to UNT. Like I knew from that college tour that I was like, this is my school. This is where I'm gonna go. So yeah, they took us to schools, and I even think, if I remember right, if you talk to your college, and coach, you can like elaborate more or correct me if I'm wrong. Some schools will even pay for your student to attend their school, but you have to like apply for it, I think. I don't know, coach, if you want to elaborate on that.
She's actually talking about a fly-in program that takes place your senior year. And we talk about that during the summer where our seniors have the opportunity to complete an application. If they're selected, then they get an opportunity to fly to a different college for a weekend experience. They actually get to talk to professors on campus, attend college classes, just spend a whole weekend being a college student. So that's one of the wonderful programs that we do have. With the pandemic, of course, we were not able to go and do the college tours like we normally do, but juniors and seniors, they have college reps that come into the school every single year. We didn't have a lot come this year, but all our visits were virtual. So just about every week during the first semester, there was at least 3 to 4 colleges reps in a Zoom meeting schedule, where that way the scholar could decide if they wanted to attend that meeting, that for that particular college, they have an opportunity to do virtual tours. We do everything. So we make sure that your child is going to be exposed to as many different colleges and universities that we can.
And coach, those fly-ins are typically at no cost to the family. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Yeah,
I think last year, right before the pandemic hit, we had 5 that were able to go to Antioch. And they did that, I think it was like January or February, somewhere along in there. And they all flew out together. The school took care of everything, not Uplift, but the actual university college took care of everything. Their plane tickets, they picked them up at the airport, food for the whole weekend. I mean, everything. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great question. I think we have time for possibly one more question. So if you've been holding on to that one, now is the time to ask it. So feel free to take yourself off mute or put it in the chat.
Paula, so far, this is Caleb, by the way. So far, what is your favorite moment in college so far?
My favorite moment, this is gonna sound so boring, I know it is, but before the pandemic hit, UNT, the library here used to be open 24/7. And I, a night owl, used to go to the library every single night. And sometimes I would even spend the night in the library studying. Because I love to, I know, I know. But here's the thing, in our basement of the library, they have these like couches that have like these blockers on top of them. So if you put 2 of them together, it looks like a crib. And sometimes I would go down there and I would like watch movies and study and take my blanket because I didn't always want to be in my dorm. I loved my room, but I can only handle being in like a box for so long. So I would go to the library. And I also want to mention that if your student is first gen, there's a lot of opportunities for them as well on campus. I highly suggest if they decide to go to university, show them now, like right now, to reach out to the first gen offices, kind of look around on their websites and see what do they have to offer, because I also made that mistake my first semester of not knowing what the university had for me. So I did kind of struggle a little bit, but finding those resources now and learning what can benefit them now before heading to the university, that would really help them.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep us longer than we have to, especially I know Paula and Caleb, I'm sure you have things going on that you can be doing at school and have your evening back. But I just want to start with saying quick words, and then I'll pass it back to the Mighty staff and Amanda to close us out. But just want to say thank you again for being here, Paula and Caleb, to share your experiences. Being a college student is busy and you have a lot going on. And so you didn't have to do this. And we're just so grateful that you did choose to be part of this night to talk about your experiences. I have been very encouraged by what you had to share in your time. And I know everyone else on the call are as well. And just wish you nothing but the best as you continue to finish out this semester and this school year. And I think in regards to COVID, you persevered and you became resilient through all of this and didn't throw in the towel when it would have been really easy to. And I think as we continue to navigate the pandemic and as we actually find ourselves out of it, I know that you're going to have moments where you look back on this time and just feel really proud of yourself. And so I'm really excited for both of you. And again, grateful that you offered your time tonight to talk about your journey.
Well, before we go, I do have one quick thing I want to say. If your scholar is a 11th grader, like really encourage them to do their best this last quarter, because this will be the transcript that we will use come September to send off for your scholar. So just really push them, encourage them, tell them don't give up. They can do it. If they need help, just get with us, let us know. We're here to help them. And I look forward to working with our upcoming seniors. It's going to be a great year.
All right. It has been a great pleasure to hear everything tonight. And so, as Robert mentioned earlier, he dropped a link for you guys to complete a survey. If you don't mind to complete that, and I will part us with my last thing is parents, regardless of what grade your scholar is in, they can start looking into their post-secondary plans. Caleb kind of alluded to this earlier, but if you have an 8th grader or a 9th grader that is, interested in a college, have them go to their school and their counselor or someone, their teacher, and say, hey, I want to know more about this school. And I promise you that someone in that school, Mighty, anywhere, they're going to help your scholar or give your scholar more information. So one last thing is, this is what I want to say initially, is that there's no right or wrong question for parents to ask. There's never a question too early or too late for you parents to ask. And I think if you get any opportunity to participate in family engagement meetings or whatever, I would strongly encourage you to jump in all of them. You can't know too much information. I'm pretty sure Coach Edward could agree to this, but we work in education and still every day we learn something new about colleges in the process. So jump in and continue to support your alums by attending these events. So if there's nothing else, you all are free to leave. We will stay on for a few minutes if anyone has any additional questions or anything like that, but you are free to dismiss.